Hello BookTube, and welcome back to your Daily Penguin. This is our tour through my Penguin Classic wall, and we've been unpredictable lately. Haven't really known what we were going to find. Had a vein of Russian literature for a while there. We started off with a long bookcase of classical literature, the ancient Greek and Roman world. And I myself find the unpredictability interesting and also useful, because I am reorganizing this wall as I go along. And I don't want it to be unpredictable when I'm done. I want it to be a wall where I know what I'm going to find, where I can lay my hand on something right away, instead of the many, many times where I go over there and think, well, I know I have the Epic of Gilgamesh, but where is it? And how many different Penguin editions do I have, etc., etc. I spent a lot of time at that wall. Nowadays, with my little dog crooked on my shoulder, most of my life my dogs weren't light enough so that I could crook them in one arm while I walked around a shelf. But now I do, and the little dog you saw at the beginning of this video really prefers it. She doesn't like to be far away from me at any time. So I patrol that wall, and it bothers me, not much, but some, how much of that time I spend looking for things. So the unpredictability is helping here, because I'm pulling stuff out, I'm making a note of where things are, so that when we're all done at the end of this year, sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather. When we're all done at the end of this year, I can remake the whole thing, which would be a lot of fun. I could do it now, but I'm also having fun with the unpredictability. And today is unpredictable as well. Today, out of the blue, we have this, Fools of Fortune, with an ugly cover. A novel by William Trevor from the early 1980s. God only knows why. Penguin Classics, Penguin publisher, especially the UK Penguin from years ago, made little, if I remember correctly, orange spine mass market paperbacks of almost all of William Trevor's novels. But black spine Penguin Classics of his novels, this is the only one I've ever seen. This is the story. Here, let me tell you what. When an informer's body is found shortly after the First World War on the estate of the Quintons, a wealthy Irish family, an appalling cycle of revenge is set in motion. Led by a zealous sergeant, the Black and Tans fire the family home, and only young Willie and his mother Evie escape alive. Fatherless, Willie grows into manhood while his alcoholic mother's bitter resentment festers, and though he finds love, Willie is unable to leave the terrible injuries of the past behind. And as you'd expect from a single paragraph description, that doesn't do the complexities of this book justice. It gives you a quick outline of what you're going to find. There's actually two intertwined vines of violence that run throughout this book. It's actually very good, and yet it's very dramatic and very dark, but understated in the way of so much of William Trevor's fiction, all of William Trevor's fiction. He was born in County Cork, but, or no, he was born in County, yeah, he was born in County Cork. I feel certain that he was. The book doesn't really tell me, but he was born in County Cork, and he was raised Protestant. And he is most familiar to readers, I'd be willing to bet, for this monstrous thing, which is also not a Penguin Classic. This is collected short stories, and there is himself. And this is a massive thing. It's absolutely incredible. I don't think that I would be in the minority to say that William Trevor is known as a short story writer, not as a novelist. Although, right from the beginning, his first book, The Old Boys, is surprising in every chapter and has a bitter kind of humor to it. And the story of Lucy Gall, there are a whole bunch of others. He wrote about, 15 or 20 novels and 15 or 20 short story collections. So he wrote a lot more short stories than he did novels. But the novels are all memorable in their way. I would love it if they were all Penguin Classics. I'd love it even more if this thing were a Penguin Classic, a black spine Penguin Classic, just in the normal run of things. Maybe it is, and I just don't know about it. But I've never seen it. I've only ever seen it in this orange spine thing, which I go back to this volume over and over again. I don't go back to his novels as much, I admit. They are really good. They're really intelligent, and with a very keen, soft ear for the cadences of language. This author is deceptively good at that. In his short stories, you will read a paragraph and think, okay, well, I'm on to the next paragraph. That has moved the story along just a little, and then hours later you'll realize that that a part of you is still reading that paragraph. And you'll go back. I've gone back and examined the word choices to figure out why that is. It's always amazing. Always just amazing. But I confess, most of the novels that I've read from this author have struck me as bloated short stories, this one included. I don't know if that's just a predisposition on my part, that I'm so accustomed to thinking of this author as a short story author that I don't give him credit for what he's doing in his novels, not enough credit. But nevertheless, I'm always happy to have this. Wish I had more William Trevor in this beloved format of mine, but I'll take whatever I can get. At one point in the past, I have had most of his novels in those thin little Penguin Press mass market paperbacks. I don't think I do anymore. I'm pretty sure that these two things are the only William Trevor that I currently have. And of course I recommend him. As far as 20th century Irish authors go, especially his short stories are just about as good as Irish fiction gets. So it's a strong recommend. Not necessarily, I'm doing this, I'm holding up this book for you because it's a Penguin Classic and we're doing a March of the Penguins. I'm not sure that entirely left to my own devices without any Penguin Classic novels, this would be the first one that I would go to. I think his novels actually got better as they went along, and he wrote half a dozen of them after the 1982 or 83, whenever this thing came out. I think they get better as they go along because I think, amazingly enough, for an author who popped off the twig late in life, I think William Trevor got better as he went along. Always. I think his craft was always improving. That's amazing and comforting in a way to see. So I'm not sure that I would pick this novel if I had to pick just one, but it's my only, as far as I know, my only Penguin Classic William Trevor. As far as I can remember, it's my only one. But that's one of the drawbacks to having no organization, is that I could encounter another William Trevor tomorrow. Maybe there's a smaller Penguin Classic collection of short stories that I might have. I don't recall that, but we shall see. In the meantime, this is another recommend. It's also another strong temptation on my part. Every once in a while, when we're doing this March of the Penguins, this waddle of the Penguins, I will be severely tempted. When I pull a book down off the shelf to talk to you about it, I'll be severely tempted to read it again. And I can't do that. Most times I can't do that, but today I especially can't do that, because I'm feeling like crap, and I have a mountain of deadline work to clear off my docket today. Because deadlines don't care how you feel, so I have a mountain of such stuff to do, and I'm gonna enjoy every minute of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crying for her pity at all, but it does take up time, and that time cannot be spent rereading Fools of Fortune by William Trevor. Just cannot do it. So, as tempting as this is, I have to put it back on the shelf. And as tempting as this is, I brought this thing off the shelf for a Penguin adjacent recommend for you. I, of course, overwhelmingly recommend the collected short stories of William Trevor. But this is even more of a temptation, either to revisit the stories in here that I really, really love, or to revisit the stories in here that I haven't read but once. I have to resist both of these temptations. This tempter has to go back on the shelf. Both of these things do, so that I can do some work. But I wanted to share it with you anyway, and who knows what tomorrow's Daily Penguin will be. A classic? A piece of translated literature? Who knows? A piece of history? We'll find out together. We'll reconvene then. So I will wrap this up for now, but I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.